Hello.
So thank you, Mo, to be here. So for the people who don't know, Google X is really the special part of Google where you have like moonshot project, like special future project. But Mo has done much more than that. He worked for IBM, Microsoft, Google, and he helped deploy Google in many countries, more than 50, I think.
Or close to half of Google, actually, yeah.
And you still had time to be entrepreneur at the same time and invest in different startups. And on top of that, during 13 years, if I'm right, you took the time to work on your new book, Solve for Happy, coming in spring in France, in French.
Yeah, Q1 in France, yeah.
Okay. So I'm really happy to have you here. And okay, you are a lot about tech, you're a lot about innovation, and you are about happiness too.
Yes.
Is it not a bit weird to be engineer?
Yeah, don't do what I do, okay? Don't live like I live. No, but can we take a minute before we start, please, to observe that I'm wearing a shirt? Like seriously, this is the first time. I know friends who know me for like 25 years have never seen me in a shirt, but this is Paris, so I'm trying to compete here, right? I will never look as elegant as you guys do, but at least appreciate the effort. Yeah. So I
thank you.
I do put in the effort in. If I can take a few minutes to tell you why I'm here and what experiences I bring. I worked at Google for 11 years, and Google has been known to be one of the best places to work for. Very happy employees, and we invest a lot in employees' happiness. I also have in the last 3.5 years been working on my book Solve for Happy, which launched in globally in March 2017, has been a bestseller, an international bestseller, and the book was triggered unfortunately by the loss of my son, my wonderful son Ali, who was 21 and a half, and he died in a medical operation due to a human error. When I wrote the book, I wrote it with a mission to honor my son. My son taught me a lot about happiness, and so I wrote it with a mission to make 10 million people happy, which I know is a very unusual reaction to the loss of someone you love. But my reaction was simply to try and make 10 million people happy by knowing my son's model of happiness. I felt was going to be make the world a slightly better place than the time when he left us. And I was very blessed because, as Paulo Coelho says in The Alchemist, the universe truly conspired to make this happen. So around 6 weeks into the launch of the book, I had many videos online that became super viral, more than 100 million views, and the 10 million happy mission was overachieved. So around a month and a half ago, we announced that the mission is going to go up, which in a very typical Google scale, Google training type of fashion, we took it up quite significantly. So the current target now is 1 billion happy. So I'm on a mission in the next 5 years to make 1 billion people happy, including all of France. And for that, why are you laughing? It's possible.
You're already at 300 there, so it's a good start.
So the reason I'm with you here today is to combine those two experiences. There is a significant value to happiness at work. There is no separation between happiness at work and happiness at home. And I want to bring to you the experiences of both of these together. But I want to tell you I want to ask you something before we start. If I manage within this 10 minutes of conversation to make you happier today, promise me you're going to share this forward, right? For me to reach 1 billion people, I cannot do it alone, but if each of you tells 2 people who will tell 2 people who will tell 2 people, we can reach all of France in 3 years, right? Promise? Good.
Okay, so when people talk about the book, they say you created an algorithm, an equation for happiness. It looks a bit strange, like equation, mathematics, and happiness.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting because there has been a ton of literature and a ton of work around the topic of happiness for years and years and years, and most of it works, by the way. If you meditate often enough, it helps you become happy, right? But these are technologies that were developed in other times, other than the modern world we live in, with all of the pressures that come with the modern world. I took a very different approach to happiness. Like most of you, I have a right brain and a left brain. I have a heart and a mind, right? And because of the modern world, I prioritize my left brain, right? And so it took me a lot of time to understand the concepts of happiness that come to the heart. I took an approach of an engineer. My assumption was very straightforward. My assumption was that you are born happy, and then we grow out of happiness. As a matter of fact, this is absolutely true. Huh? Every child you have ever seen, including yourself, didn't need anything from the world outside it to be happy. You know, you lay there on your back, you didn't need an Xbox to be happy. All you needed was no reason to be unhappy, remember? So if there was no wet diaper, you didn't cry, right? When there was a wet diaper, you cried because there was a reason to be unhappy, and then when they changed it, you went back to happiness, right? Now, with that assumption, I started to tell myself, something went wrong with the machine. The machine came out of the factory properly operating, and then it started to go out of good working order. And I started to ask myself, why did that happen? What triggers happiness and what triggers unhappiness? And I did it in the most unusual way ever. I did it like a scientist, right? I took data points, as many data points as I could find, for moments in my life where I felt happy. Okay, I plotted those on as many charts as I could find, you know, to try and find that common trend across all of them that actually talks about what happiness is, what triggers happiness and what triggers unhappiness. And I'm going to do a couple of experiments with you very quickly to show you what it's all about. I realized that the only common theme across every moment in my life where I felt unhappy was a moment where life seemed to be missing my expectation. Okay? It wasn't about the events of my life at all. It wasn't about what life gave me. It was about what life gave me as compared to what I wanted life to do, right? If it rained today and you expected it to rain and you had your raincoat with you and you had your umbrella with you, the rain wouldn't make you unhappy. Right? If you were planning to go out with your partner and lay in the sun and it started to rain, you get disappointed, right? It's not the event in itself, it's the event in comparison to expectation. You can put that in a very simple equation, which is your happiness is equal to or greater than the difference between the events of your life and your expectation of how life should behave. And our brains go into that process of solving this equation literally all the time. Right? So you sit in this room and the person next to you is a little close to you, your brain goes like, I don't like this event, okay? This event does not meet my expectations, I feel unhappy or I feel a little, uncomfortable, right? I come on stage, I'm wearing a t-shirt or I'm wearing a shirt, your brain assesses that and says the event meets my expectations, and that makes unhappiness in a very interesting way a survival mechanism. Right? A survival mechanism where our brains are constantly trying to say, hey, this is okay, we will survive, this is not okay, I'm going to make you unhappy so that you do something about it. If you understand that mechanism, then suddenly you can start to fix the machine. Suddenly you can start to tell yourself, okay, why is it that this equation is being solved wrong all the time? As a matter of fact, 70% of the time you solve this equation, 70% of the thoughts in your brain are negative. Is it even possible that 70% of the events of your days are negative? Not at all, right? But you make them negative because your brain solves the equation wrong. And all of Solve for Happy is all about how do I show you that you're solving the equation wrong, that if you actually see the truth of life, you will be unhappy a little less often.
But should we have low expectation then, no ambition?
most achievers, well done. Most high driving achievers in the world ask this question. Okay, so should we just lower our expectation? And it's absolutely true, mathematically true, and physically true. If you lower your expectations of life, most of life will make you happy. I mean, you go to India or to Africa, and if they expect that they may not eat today. So if you give them one bowl of rice, they're very, very happy because it beats their expectations. But that's not the way we should live in life. And Solve for Happy is not a book about eat, pray, love. I'm not telling you to go and meditate and forget about life. As a matter of fact, I'm a chief business officer of a big company. I'm successful in life. I believe that we're here for a reason. We're here to make a difference and have an impact, right? We're here to work, to contribute to life. But there is no reason to be unhappy as the tax you pay for that. Right? You can actually be successful and be happy at the same time. You be successful by raising your expectations high, right? You be happy by handling missed expectations in a way that allows you to find your happiness in light of missed expectations, right? So, again, I give an example and I always say, if you expect your partner to slap you on the face twice every day, The day he or she slaps you once is a good day. You know, it's a good reason to be happy, right? But that's not the way we should go through life. We should expect and aspire to have partners that will love us and hug us and treat us well, right? And if they actually do miss expectations, how do we handle that? Do we stay in the corner and cry, or do we handle it professionally and openly and, you know, lovingly and say, hey, let's talk about this, because you know, there are things we need to do together to have a better relationship.
And with innovation, there's a lot of unexpectation. We don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of failure, more failures than success most of the time. So how do we deal with that, not to be disappointed?
So there are two sides to this question, if you allow me to answer them one by one. One is, how do you handle missed expectations? And this is one of the concepts that is super dear to my heart in the book, probably one of the top 5 concepts in the book, something I call committed acceptance. Right? If your expectations are missed, if you set a target and life misses that target, the first question you ask yourself is, can I do something about it? Right? Can I do something to make it better? Right? And most of the time there is something you can do to make it better. Right? You know, by doing that, by the way, there is a serious neuroscience element to it, because most of the thoughts that make us unhappy happen in the midline areas of our brains. Most of the thoughts that make us successful are insightful or experiential thoughts that are focused on problem solving or observing the world as it really is. And they happen on the right-hand side of the brain, in the insula, in other places, right? By moving your thought from, okay, I'm going to sit down and cry because this didn't work, to what can I do about it, right? That I call that a useful thought. Suddenly, you're no longer happy, but you're also more successful, more productive in the real world. And you know, there was a study by the University of Warwick that said that people who are happy by definition are 12% more productive than others who are not, right? This is one. So committed acceptance starts with, can I do something about it? That's the commitment. But sometimes there is nothing you can do about it. Sometimes you lose a child. My son died, right? What can I do about that? I cannot do anything about it. There is any way I can do to bring him back, right? And this is where acceptance comes in. And acceptance, by the way, is not a sign of weakness. Acceptance is a sign of strength, right? Acceptance is to say, okay, life, is this the way you're going to play? I'm going to show you how I'm going to play. Right? If he's gone and I can do nothing about it, I can complain about it for the next 27 years, and then on my lying bed, he's still not, on my dying bed, he's still not going to be here, right? On the other hand, I could tell myself, okay, brain, he's gone. There is nothing we can do to bring him back. What can we do about it? Is there something we can do to make tomorrow a little better than today, and after tomorrow a little better than tomorrow? And then suddenly my brain goes back and says, okay, you know what, you don't seem to be flexible here, you're not going to sit down and cry. Right, let's write his happiness model, let's share it with the world in 30 languages, let's travel the world and make 1 billion people happy. Right? Let's have a movement where everyone tells everyone else, and maybe that will make the world a little better than the day Ali left. Right? That's the committed side of acceptance, to accept but continue to strive in life to make life a little better than yesterday.
So you are managing a lot of people. We have a lot of managers here. As a manager, what can you do to make your employee, your colleagues, or even your top management happier?
This is a massive question. I'll start by saying, by the way, guys, happiness is not a luxury. Right? You're not being nice to your employees when you make them happy. There is a million studies out there that will tell you that happy employees are more productive, they're more committed, they're nicer to their peers, they show up a lot more, they're more, they produce more, they don't go absent, they don't change jobs as often as unhappy employees. It's not a luxury. We don't offer sushi for lunch at Google because we want to make employees happy out of the kindness of our heart. We love our employees, but also because that keeps them at work, makes them happy at work, and that is really one of the core reasons why Google is so innovative and successful, right? It's not a luxury. I am known, even within Google, to have built a team that's highly, highly motivated because of happiness, right? And if you understand happiness, I mean, I've been teaching happiness through Solve for Happy significantly. I taught more than 2,000 Googlers, including very senior executives, on the models of happiness. There is a difference between happiness and employee satisfaction. Right? Happiness truly is to, number one, understand how to prioritize happiness. So every one of my employees, when they join my team, I start by saying, by the way, my job is you. Your job is your people or your business, right? So I am not going to worry about the business. I'm going to worry about you. And as a result, you're going to deliver the business to me. And if you hire properly, those people are going to be amazing at delivering the business. That's number one. Number two is, if you take my definition of happiness, happiness is that peaceful, content feeling that you get when life meets your expectations. At work, you can do that too. I don't care if my team makes a deal or loses a deal. I care that they've done the best that they could to win the deal. And if the CEO changed or the CMO went out of, to another company, that is not their mistake. There is no point in dwelling about it. Once again, we move our thoughts from here to here, and we continue in a happy way to produce, to make a difference to our business. If you prioritize happiness as a leader, my number one tip is what they tell you on airplanes. Attend to yourself first before you help others, right? Find your own happiness before you dream of making any other employee happy, right? If you're not happy, by definition, you're grumpy. By definition, they hate your guts, okay? That's not a very good way to go to work, right? Part of, again, the 1 billion happy mission is those people are your responsibility, right? Ask yourself how you want to be treated by your boss. If you want to be made happy, be happy yourself and make them happy. I guarantee you, if they're happier, they're going to make you more successful.
Thank you so much. So one question for the room. You had a very little piece of Mo today. Who do you think was too short? Okay.
Yes. Why are you not raising your hand? Raise your hand. Okay.
Okay. So good news. I just wanted to say with Mo that we are working with Mo and Thierry here in the room about creating at least one day a masterclass. Somewhere at the beginning of next year or at spring for the launch of the French version of Solve for Happy. So if you want to learn more about innovation, about happiness, about efficiency, and all of that together, please come back to us, to Mo, to Thierry or us, and we will really try to make a special day. And I know too that you are doing training for big corporation, like 200 managers or 300 managers, to really make them, I would say, more efficient and happier at the same time.
I have a 1 billion target, so come on, show up.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Mo.